Anybody who's ever had a conversation with me about fashion knows that I will bring up Chitose Abe as one of my favorite designers all the time. Her work, history, and technique are beyond reproach. She definitely deserves a WTH, and her penchant for collaborations seem to always work. And Dior is what Dior has been under Kim Jones. Strokes of genius with a whole lot of hype seasoning, usually in the form of collaboration. So naturally, most of us would be interested in what a collab between SACAI and Dior would offer. Most of us, and yeah. After teasing the collaboration between Dior Homme and SACAI several weeks ago, many were hoping, myself included, that Dior was actually gonna let go of the reins a little bit and let Chitose do her damn thing. Sadly, that wasn't the case with the latest 57-piece capsule collection. That's not to say it isn't good, it is well done, and that's to be expected from two highly skilled designers, but it does leave a lot to be desired. Instead of a huge dose of the masterful technicality and pattern work of SACAI, we get a mostly black and white palette with nod to SACAI's frequently used fabrics, and even slighter nods to Japanese workwear silhouettes that tend to be a bit wider, tailored than their Western counterparts. The use of Japanese denim and Dior flower patterns also speaks to the cross-cultural effort the collection hopes to showcase. And while there are exceptions taken with the tailoring, it mostly looks like what you've come to expect from Dior Homme under Kim Jones. One need only look at the Jordan and Stussy collabs to see that these capsules offer a bit more of the same, just with different window dressing. And because of that, it looks, and I hate to say this, it looks boring because it's just hard to see the details unless you really look or you're familiar with the work of both Kim Jones and Chitose Abe. The drawstrings a la SACAI on bags and saddle clutches, but muddled against the black and white leather a la Dior gets lost in itself. The jackets and bombers are exquisite with double liners, zippers, and layers, but hard to catch if you're unfamiliar with the technicality of SACAI. The trousers are probably the highlight, at least visually, because of the attention to detail, tailoring, cut, and technique. But again, you have to be dumb familiar with the work of Kim and Abe to appreciate those details when they're on a black and white palette. The rose knit sweaters, ridiculous, especially since SACAI's commonly used side slit fabric change was employed, a technique that we've seen on several SACAI collabs before. But again, the whole thing is in black and white, which in most cases, that wouldn't be a complaint, at least for me, but it's hard to see that, so it's hard to appreciate. Note, whenever we think about black and white garb on the runway, we usually are paying attention to tailoring and silhouette. One need only look at the work of Yohji Yamamoto and Rei Kawakubo to understand that. That's why you rarely see utilitarian accents on these kind of collections. Those kind of elements will and often get muddled and lost in the pieces, and that's exactly what's happening here. Sure, you can point to techwear and say, hey, that works, why not this? But that's techwear and this is different. This is SACAI and Dior. And SACAI is no stranger to color, nor is Dior. So it seems strange that these two longtime friends in Kim and Abe would settle on a palette that doesn't play more to the strengths of either of the labels. Kim Jones, in an interview with WWD, said, I always work on things that I miss doing in real life, and seeing it's just a really key mix between what Dior and Sac is, and it was a way of having a conversation through the pandemic. This was in reference to his long time away from Japan, as he claims he usually comes 6 times a year, which is another head scratcher, because if you do come to Japan often, Kim, you would know that Japan is filled with a ton of monochrome labels, and SACAI is a label that transcended that at the highest level. This collection, or capsule, does nothing to push that conversation forward and really doesn't showcase what SACAI is unless you already know about it. It just seems like a Dior showcase under some of the direction and guidelines of SACAI. Are some of the pieces good? Yes, very much so. I think some of them are great. But is it special or innovative? Not necessarily, and that's disappointing considering SACAI and label runner Abe are finally rising. But for a collection of this magnitude, it's a bit underwhelming. Sad to say it. However, it is a good entry point for those that don't know, which means that it's kind of leaning in that cash grab territory. Rushed isn't the word I would use, but it certainly lacks the punch of both Dior and SACAI. But what's your take? Do you like the latest capsule reveal of SACAI and Dior, or are you not as impressed? Or do you have some collab fatigue at this point for all labels? Let it all be known in the comments, but most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion culture and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I will see you guys in a minute.